Hello and welcome to the WWE versus AEW podcast. I am your host, Daniel. Today's show, we're going to be talking WrestleMania. They pretty much released pretty much most of the card really for WrestleMania all got released on Monday and on Friday. A lot of matches got added to that card on Sunday. We're going to be telling you the days you can expect to see each match. Well, Vince has got 2 weeks, so it might all get changed. We're going to be talking Ring of Honor also had their 19th anniversary show on Friday night. I just got done watching that this morning, so we're going to be reviewing that show for you later on. We're going to be talking about pretty much the talk on wrestling Twitter all weekend has been about Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was added to the already arranged Roman Reigns versus Edge Universal title match. I mean, I think everybody expected it, didn't they? Everyone pretty much expected that Daniel Bryan was going to get added for the last couple of weeks, especially with the ending of the Fastlane match. But yeah, they announced that on Friday's SmackDown. We've got WrestleMania ticket news. And yeah, we're going to get into that and more here on the show. Sunday, I'm not used to doing a show on a Sunday. Usually, I don't know, I'm either watching football or sometimes a little bit hungover. But it's international weekend. There's no football on this weekend unless you class the England football team as, I suppose it's football, innit? But yeah, I'm not really bothered about the qualifiers. We seem to qualify for every tournament. So England are playing Albania later on. So I might watch that. I didn't watch the San Marino 5-0 win the other night. But yeah, we've got 2 in the UK. I know a lot of our listeners are from the States looking at the stats. But in the UK, we've basically got 2 weeks. 2 weeks tomorrow, pubs open. Basically, for people who don't know this, right? So in the UK, so I know in the States, everywhere's pretty much open, right? In the UK, we're opening the beer gardens. So you can sit outside with a drink, table service, but you can't go inside. So all the bars, pubs, restaurants, they're opening, but you can't go inside. Yeah, that's a real thing. Yeah, that's for 5 weeks before everything opens. So yeah, they're trying to ease everything back into it. Kids went back to school 4 weeks ago. So my little girl went back to school 3 weeks ago. Yeah, 3 weeks ago she went back to school. So I was talking to her mum on Thursday. She was like, "Oh, I mean, she breaks up for school for Easter on Friday for 2 weeks." What? She went back 3 weeks ago after 4 months pretty much off school, maybe 3 months, yeah, and she's off for 2 weeks over Easter. What a joke. But teachers, they need the rest. They need the rest. You know what I mean? It must be such hard work being a teacher in those warm classrooms all winter. Never mind the rest of us that are outside freezing our bollocks off. Sorry if you're a teacher. I'm sure it must be really hard, all those, 12-week holidays per year. Can you imagine if the NHS, the people working at the hospitals, were like, you know what? We've had a tough winter here dealing with all these deaths. I think we're going to need 6 weeks off to recover from it. Yeah, imagine. Well, that's my rant on teachers over with. But yeah, good news. 2 weeks until pubs open. And would you, Adam and Eve, it? The day that the beer gardens open is the morning after WrestleMania. So our plan is to go up to Leeds, to Neil's flat. And there's me, Danny, Chris, Sean, Tebbs, all going up to Leeds to watch WrestleMania at Neil's. And then we've booked a number of beer gardens on the Monday. So hopefully it's not absolutely pissing down, which I'm probably sure it will be. So hopefully it's not pissing down so we can enjoy a few pints on that Monday. Hopefully after watching 2 nights of a good WrestleMania, I'm gutted that we're not going to be there. I was at 31, couldn't go to 32 because I was having a kid. 33, went to 33, went to 34, went to 35. 36, obviously couldn't go last year. So yeah, I'm gutted we can't go to Raymond James Stadium. But yeah, so we're going to get into the wrestling in a minute. But I just want to briefly touch on UFC. Has everyone watched that UFC show from last night? What a great show that was. Really enjoyed that. Sean O'Malley, absolutely brilliant. I mean, he should have really stopped the guy in the first round, but he eventually got the job done with a couple of minutes left. The ref should have stopped it, but O'Malley went in for that final punch. Yeah, so I uploaded the video of this on Twitter. Right. Uploaded the video on Twitter. I was watching it in the UK this morning. Yeah, 8 a.m. or something like that. So I'm watching the show in order. So I uploaded a video of the Sean O'Malley KO, right? someone quote tweets it and they put, interesting that he didn't put the Ngannou knockout on. And I'm reading it and I thought, interesting. Is he trying to suggest that like that's in some way, shape or form racial? Just thought, seriously, there's some bell ends in this world, isn't there? Like, so what? So you can't upload a video of a white sportsman anymore without it being deemed racist. Flipping heck. When Ngannou knocked him out, I was on the edge of my bed cheering. I was like, oh, this guy is going to be a superstar. Well, he already is, but that was great. He's like Daniel Coleman said, strap the rocket ship on him. This guy is going to go to the top. Well, he's already at the top, but do you know what I mean? I just thought, is there any need for stuff like that? I was literally just genuinely not uploading a video of O'Malley, who I've been a fan of for years. And someone has to bring that into it. It just sums up the way the world's going in 2021. But hey, Snowflake Squad run wild as usual on Twitter. But yeah, it was a great UFC show. So the fights didn't really last that long, except the women's fight, which I didn't watch. But I watched the other fights. I really enjoyed the Sean O'Malley fight. Tyron Woodley got absolutely filled in. That was a really good, well, it was only one round, but that was a really good opening round. Luque recovered from I thought Woodley was going to do him first round, but Luque recovered, and then Ngannou Miocic was a second round KO. So yeah, really good show. Definitely go and watch that. If you're a UFC fan, I always hear there's no crossover anymore with UFC and wrestling fans, but the fucking is. You only have to look at Impact and AEW moving their shows from Saturday to Sunday to show that they definitely believe, and I'm sure they know more than some mark on Twitter. So yeah, so that was it. That's been the weekend. Watch UFC, watch Ring of Honor. My little girl on Friday. Nice chilled out weekend, ready for the antics of a few weeks when everywhere opens up. But probably the big story of the weekend in terms of wrestling was what happened on Friday night. Like I said at the start of the show, where they finally changed the main event of WrestleMania to a 3-way. Now, it just seems to be the pattern, doesn't it? They just... Vince, it's a bit embarrassing, really. It feels like every other year, like, all right, I'm going to use the comparison. I know you shouldn't. Can you imagine, like, New Japan having a match set in stone in, say, November, announcing a match, and because they failed booking the babyface, just going, right, it's going to be a 3-way. I mean, it would. I know someone's going to be like, well, they added Jay White to the scene, but that was planned all along. Whereas, you know, it was just like, they clearly, people are like, oh, well, Daniel Bryan did this promo and talking smack in December. He was always going to be added. And it's like, no, he wasn't. He was beat like a drum throughout December. He lost in the Rumble. Do you know what I mean? I mean, what Edge was saying in his promo, I mean, I'm a huge Daniel Bryan fan, right? What Edge was saying in his promo, you got beat at Elimination Chamber. You got beat at Fastlane. You got beat fair and square in the Royal Rumble. So that's 3 times. So it's no wonder that there's been a bit of an uproar. But, I mean, the match itself, I think, it's bad booking of Edge. Vince can't book a babyface anymore, which is why every couple of years they're going to end up changing the main event of Mania, because they're scared that the babyface is going to get booed. And I've said that, if you go back weeks of the podcast, I said all along, Edge will get booed at Mania. The guy, people like him, but he's never been a good babyface. Never. He's always had like negative. Do you know what I mean? Like, I always remember SummerSlam 2004 where the crowd just turned on him. They turned on him, and that just, it had been like a trend throughout his career. I mean, I'm trying to think when else. They brought him back as a babyface, didn't they, at the Royal Rumble 2010. He won the Rumble, didn't he? He went on to face Jericho at Mania as a babyface. He couldn't get that whole thing where he was like shouting spear over, and they turned him heel shortly after. By the time whatever April pay-per-view they had on, he was facing a face Randy Orton as a heel. So within 4 months, so the history's repeated itself. 11 years later, Edge comes back at the Rumble as a babyface, set to main event Mania as a babyface, and by the month after Mania, they turned him heel. And 11 years later, they didn't even get to Mania because they were smart enough to realize this guy is going to get booed, especially against Roman. I mean, the fans haven't yet seen this reincarnation of Roman Reigns as a heel. I'm convinced he's going to get cheered. Bryan might help there not be as many cheers, but Roman's been the star of this pandemic era of WWE, the Thunderdome era of WWE. Apart from Drew Drew was good when it was in the Performance Center, when it was like there wasn't the Thunderdome crowd. But since they moved to the Thunderdome in August, Roman has just helped that show to no end. So, yeah. It's funny, isn't it, really? They're doing the best to stop. Imagine if you'd said that to Vince a few years ago. In a few years, you're going to be doing your best to stop Roman Reigns getting cheered. For years, we had to put up with, do you know what I mean, them trying desperately to get Roman Reigns cheered. I mean, I was there at Mania 34 when, do you know what I mean, he's getting booed out the building. Mania 31, Roman versus Lesnar, yeah? They didn't actually, everyone wanted them to, that was the time they should have added Bryan, but instead they had to go the triple threat route, didn't they? I mean, the Seth Rollins cashing in the Money in the Bank route, because they were scared of putting the belt on Roman because they knew that it would have been greeted with major boos. We had Batista at WrestleMania 30. I still can't believe the 30th anniversary of WrestleMania, yeah? And the plan was to have babyface Batista versus heel Randy Orton in the main event. At the time where you had CM Punk as top babyface, Daniel Bryan as top babyface, this whole fight in the fans, and they was actually going to try and do babyface Batista against heel Randy Orton. It was never going to work. The crowd were never going to cheer Batista when you had babyfaces like Daniel Bryan, babyfaces like CM Punk. It was never going to work. I remember at the time thinking, are they really trying to do this? But this year, the story, though, pretty much fell into the laps. It would have been so easy to tell. Edge comes back at the Rumble last year, yeah? I mean, we're blaming Edge. I'm saying Edge can't be a babyface. If he's booked right, he definitely can be a babyface, yeah? Especially with the story. He was forced to retire, forced to have the title taken off him, 9 years ago. He comes back at the Rumble. He's set to have a match at Mania against Randy Orton in front of fans. That's ripped away from him. He has to have a terrible match. Was it a last man standing match? Was it that they fought all over the building at the Performance? And that was shite last year. And then he gets injured in the greatest match ever at Backlash, yeah? He's out so that he comes back at the Rumble. This is such an easy story to tell. 10 years to the day after he had to hand over the title, he was set to face Roman Reigns for the title. I mean, I think they slipped up by having him go against Roman. It was always going to be a battle in front of fans. I don't know if they'd forgot that fans were going to be there. It was always going to be a battle to get Edge cheered against Roman. The right thing to do, which is what everyone thought they was going to do when they took the title off Drew and put it on Randy, was have heel Orton against babyface Edge. Edge wins at Mania, yeah? Crowd would have cheered Edge over Randy Orton. They would have done. But you get the top heel, the cool heel. We've wanted Roman's turn heel for years, and it's not going to be so easy. And you mix that with the terrible booking that you've been doing. And yeah, it was always inevitable. But at least they realized it. We can say that. And you've got, I mean, they're all the negatives, yeah? They're all the negatives out of the way. The positives of this is, I mean, I'm not a big fan of three-ways, but with the way that they've sort of told the story, it does make sense. I do think Roman Reigns versus Edge, while would be a good one-on-one match, I think adding Bryan will make it a better match, even though, like I say, I'm not a big fan of three-ways. But it's just, I don't know which way you go with it. Like, Edge is a great heel, but you think at 48 years old, is that a bit too old to maybe be a heel? I don't know. You tell me. But I do think the match quality is going to be better. And I mean, I've retweeted on Twitter the other day, you do have, if they choose to go this direction, I'm not sure if they will now, we've got two heels against one babyface. They need to bring up the fact that 2011, Edge is forced to retire in the ring on Raw. 2016, WWE forced Daniel Bryan to retire, pretty much. Yeah, on Raw. Roman Reigns, 2018, in the middle of that ring. Was it 2018? God knows. 2018 is forced to come out on Raw. It was like October 2018, was it? He's forced to come out on Raw, and he basically doesn't retire, but he says he's got to go away for a while because he's got cancer, yeah? So that's three guys who have had triumphant returns. Maybe you'd only bring it up if they were all baby faces, which they aren't. But I do think it's worth mentioning it because it does add a nice dynamic to the match, and it does make sense, the fact that you've got these three guys that, two, you thought you'd never see wrestle again, one, you didn't know what was going to happen, are now in the main event of WrestleMania. So do you think they should bring that up? Whether or not they do is another issue. I'm just going to quickly go to some comments. We've got Ryan, how you doing, mate? Yeah, the UK is reopening, kind of. Yeah, and I can't wait for it. Let's get. You're on Easter holiday currently. Yeah, I can't wait for it to open. I'm not sure any part. I'm basically what I'm in the process of doing, because I know that it's going to be a hectic summer of going out, is I am trying to record as many episodes, get them in the bank to get them out on the weeks where we might not be recording. I've already got about 5 or 6 episodes of the podcast in the bank that I will be uploading during the weeks where I might be busy this summer. The Euros are on, so what can you expect? How are you doing, Kerry? Nice for you to join us. But yeah, so that's the main event. The main event of Mania is Bryan versus Roman versus Edge. Some people might like it, some people might not. A lot of people saying that, oh, why is Bryan in it? Anyone who thought he was going to go with Roman versus Edge after that Edge semi-heel turn at Fastlane, it was never going to happen. They had to ask Bryan. I had to ask Bryan, sorry. And I do think it's better for Edge. Maybe Edge has gone to him and said, look, I'm probably going to get booed at Mania. Yeah, I've been there before. But, I mean, a lot of the dirt sheets, they're saying that it's nothing to do with that, which I don't believe for a second. They're saying that Edge looks too old. I mean, I don't understand what that's got to do. Do you know what I mean? The older you get, the more harder it is to boo someone, you'd think. So Edge, do you know what I mean? It's like no one wants to boo Ric Flair anymore as a heel. Can't believe he's heel, or he was. But no one wants to boo these older guys because they've got so much built-up respect for them. But, hey, that was the way that they wanted to go. So I'm quickly going to run through, because I feel like off the top of my head, you can't name what night everything's off. So it would be nice for someone to come out and say it. But yeah, so the Saturday, which is, I believe, the 10th, Saturday the 10th, we have got the WWE Championship. Bobby Lashley defends against Drew McIntyre. We've got the SmackDown Women's Championship, Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. We've got The Miz versus Bad Bunny. Seth Rollins versus Cesaro. We've got the Raw Tag Team Championship. The New Day defend against AJ Styles and Omos. And we've got Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon. So we've got 6 matches announced for the first night. I mean, on paper, I don't think that looks too strong. I mean, if you combine the what have they got? They've got 11 matches announced. If you combine those 11 matches into one show, it does look good. But I can't get my head around the fact that we've not even, Undertaker, strange not having him at Mania, but they probably don't want to bring him back. Yeah. I think it's strange we've not got a Brock Lesnar. It's weird not having a Brock Lesnar match. We've not got a Triple H match. I mean, I thought at least we'd get Triple H versus AJ Styles. It does seem like this is just a typical WWE pay-per-view, but the most exciting thing about it is we've got pretty much 24,000 tickets sold for each night. So we've not seen how the crowd are going to react to all these wrestlers. We've not seen it for a year, so it is going to be really interesting to see who's going to get booed, who's going to get cheered. And I think they've started, that's why they've started, you've seen in recent weeks, Sasha Banks has gone heel in her feud. Edge has gone heel, because they know that these baby faces now, they can't just manipulate, tell the Thunderdome what to do, can they? So the people who they were worried about getting booed are now actually going heel. So yeah, that is an interesting dynamic. I think that's one of the most interesting things about this WrestleMania, see where they're going with stuff. So that night one, I mean, Meltzer has reported in The Observer that Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre is going to be the main event. I mean, I've seen a lot of people saying Sasha versus Bianca should main event. Now, I can see that argument. You have the women main event one night, the men main event the other. But they've gone to all this trouble to have McIntyre lose the title, Miz be the champion, Miz pass it on to Bobby Lashley, just solely so they can get Drew McIntyre, have his big moment at the end of Mania, fireworks going off as the show goes off air, which he didn't get last year. So for me, they've gone to all that effort. Just let's get this done. Let's get out of the way. Let's get Drew McIntyre his big moment. So let's just do it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we necessarily need Sasha and Bianca to main event. I'm sure it'd be nice for them, but I don't think the feud, if I'm honest, although the actual match, I think the match does actually have the potential to be better than the Bobby Lashley Drew McIntyre match. I don't really think the feud has been handled that well, has it really? To be fair, Lashley and Drew hasn't even got started. For me, it would have been a no-brainer to have Drew versus Sheamus. I didn't think I'd be saying that months ago, but these two they had a great match at Fastlane, great matches on Raw. Sheamus is looking like this is Sheamus' best year since his opening year in WWE for me. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. So I would have definitely gone with Sheamus over Lashley. Although, to be fair, they built Lashley up for ages, but for me, Lashley versus Drew is feeling a bit rushed. The feud's only just got started and we're like 2-3 weeks away from WrestleMania. So I would have gone with Sheamus that they've been doing since November. So I'm looking at those 6 matches and you're trying to work out what matches can be like great, potentially. I think Sasha Bianca could be around that 4-star range. Lashley, Drew, I think they might struggle. I'm not sure if the crowd will get into it. The Miz versus Bad Bunny, you're not expecting a wrestling clinic out of that. The New Day versus AJ Styles and Omos, be fine, but I don't think it will be anything like match of the year worthy. And same with Braun Strowman and Shane. I'm sure there'll be a few crazy stunts, but I don't think this is going to win a match of the year for anyone. So your best shot you've got is Seth Rollins, Cesaro. If you let Seth Rollins, Cesaro go out there for 15 minutes, 20 minutes in front of a crowd, I do think you can get a match above 4 stars. So that is the match. That's the match I think will be match of the night on night 1, but you might get a few surprises. Night 2, this is, for me, the stronger of the shows, slightly. Obviously, we've got probably the hottest match, the most intriguing match on either night, being that triple threat match we've been speaking about, Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan. I do think that has the potential to be 4 stars plus match. We've got the Raw Women's Championship, Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. This has been thrown together. Obviously, the original plan was to have Charlotte versus Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's Championship at Mania. That just shows what can happen in the world of WWE with changes being made left, right, and center. Obviously, they couldn't help Lacey Evans falling pregnant, Charlotte Flair getting COVID. But yeah, we've gone from having Charlotte versus Lacey to Asuka versus Rhea. And if all it took was a pregnancy, a bit of COVID, do you know what I mean? You've got to really take that. Asuka versus Rhea was always going to be a better match than Charlotte versus Lacey. They had a couple of matches on Raw that weren't great, but Asuka, Rhea Ripley, do think can be a really good match. Randy Orton versus The Fiend. I am intrigued. I mean, people are saying that it's going to be a Firefly Funhouse match. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure if they're going to do that. I'm not sure how the fans would react to not seeing Randy Orton, not seeing The Fiend. I think they're going to go out there in front of a live audience and try and do some of this shit. I mean, I was there for 33, sat there bewildered at the worms on the mat. The crowd did not enjoy that one bit. The crowd were dead for that match. But yeah, it would not surprise me if I think they're going to do that. Maybe they'll go to the back and have like the last couple of minutes or a brief part of the match I don't know, when this Bray Wyatt's head. I mean, I enjoyed the Firefly Funhouse against Cena last year, but it's just whether or not you do it. We're out of the pandemic now. Well, we're not, but in Tampa, we pretty much are. So yeah, I do think this might be in front of the fans. Maybe I think they might try and blow some up to say, look, AEW, yeah, we can do something, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if you saw any of that. Now, after that, so Randy Orton versus The Fiend, I don't think it's going to win a match of the year, but I am intrigued for it. I'm intrigued to see what they do. I don't like The Fiend's new look, but I'm all for seeing The Fiend's entrance in front of a live crowd in that stadium. I do think it'll be brilliant, and I'm good. I'm not going to be there for it. Intercontinental title, Big E defends against Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews got the win, didn't he, on SmackDown in that tag team match, pinned Big E, which he needed after losing all these matches. I think they can have a good match. Good match. I think it'd be, although it seems to make sense for Apollo Crews to win, I kind of think you want Big E, a guy that you possibly could be looking to catapult into the main event scene post WrestleMania. Give him a big win. Give him a big win here. So yeah, maybe they'll do that. And then the match that I think everyone is looking forward to. I think this could be match of the night if given time. A match that should have taken place at WrestleMania 32, but instead they got added to the Money in the Bank ladder match. That being Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. I'm chuffed that these two get a WrestleMania match. If they let them go out there, give them time, let them not work the typical WWE match, I think this match could be match of the weekend. Hope it is. I hope they just let Sami go out there. I don't need any of this gimmick stuff. I don't need the story stuff. Let's just go out there, balls to the wall, and give us a classic WrestleMania match. Have it open the show. And yeah, let's get off to a flying start that night. So yeah, when you look at that, I mean, there's no big standout WrestleMania match, is there? No big, the big matches, but there's no like, I'm trying to think previous years, like 34 when I was there, Cena Undertaker. It was big on paper. Ronda Rousey in a match, like 30. I'm trying to think 30 Taker Lesnar, 30 off the top, 33 Undertaker versus Roman Reigns. There's probably other matches that I've just completely forgotten about, but yeah, there's always seems to be big matches. Triple H, Seth Rollins, stuff like that felt big. But I don't know, now I'm talking about it, this card is actually, maybe for once, there's no Lesnar match, there's no Undertaker match, but it gives the guys that might not necessarily, Cesaro, as he had a singles match at WrestleMania, I'm not quite sure. Sasha gets a singles match at Mania. Oscar gets a singles match at Mania. Apollo, Big E, they get singles matches. Sami Zayn gets a single match. So there is positives about this card, but it's one of them cards that I'm looking at thinking, would I want to fly halfway across the world for this? I probably would at the moment because I'm bored shitless, but yeah. So yeah. So some comments. Adam versus Park would be shit, but it ended. Yeah. To be fair, yeah, it did. I mean, I'm not saying Ryan, that I don't think the card. I do think this WrestleMania will be good. Do you think it will be good? But there's just no big standout match. But yeah, no big standout match for me. But I do think the card, wrestling wise, will be good. But it's just there's a lot of matches that you could see. Do you know what I mean? That you'd see on like a Fastlane pay-per-view, and you wouldn't think it was out of place. But yeah, there's no like match that you say that is the match that you could only get at a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's pretty much the WrestleMania card. I mean, matches that they could have. They've announced that Matt Riddle versus Sheamus is going to be a non-title match on Raw. I find it crazy that apparently these days you can't just... Sheamus surely is deserving of a US title match. They just hand out title matches willy-nilly these days. But those two had a really, really strong match on Raw at the start of the year. Sheamus is on fire this year. Matt Riddle is one of the best workers in the company. I think these two could have a really, really good match at Mania. They've got to add that to the card. Sheamus will probably win here, won't he? To set up the match. But is Riddle going to beat Sheamus at Mania? I hope he does. I mean, Riddle is on fire in the ring, but the gimmick, I'm not sure how the fans are going to react to him. He's been booked that badly since being... Maybe it's Matt Riddle, so people are going to cheer. But he's been booked that badly. It wouldn't surprise me if he didn't end up getting cheered. I'm guessing we're going to get a women's tag match announced. Shayna and Nia against someone. Maybe someone from NXT. Maybe they'll just go the Naomi and Lana route. Maybe they'll just shove them in the Battle Royal. Who knows? SmackDown tag match. They've been building up. Mysterio pinned Dolph Ziggler on SmackDown. So you're expecting Rude and Ziggler to defend against Mysterio and Dominic. Maybe they'll add like Gable and Otis. Can add another team maybe, but no Baron Corbin. They've not been building anything for Baron Corbin as well, which is quite surprising. Maybe he'll win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal if they're going to be doing that. But yeah, so I'm sure they'll be adding a Battle Royal to each night for the pre-show. Bailey doesn't have anything for Mania. Maybe they'll have a ding-dong segment. I've seen someone suggest maybe they have Becky Lynch come out in a segment with Bailey. I think that'd be good. I do think they should do that. Who knows? Maybe Becky comes out. Maybe Ronda makes an appearance. We set up Becky versus Ronda for next year's Mania. Who knows? Plenty could happen. I'm excited. But yeah, another quick note from the Observer that I was reading is that the idea is for each show to be 3.5 to 4 hours. So you're looking, they've got 6 matches announced for night 1, 5 for night 2. If you're assuming the Battle Royal is going to be on the pre-shows, then they need more matches. So yeah, you'd expect more matches in the upcoming 2 weeks. Raw and SmackDown is going to be interesting for the next 2 weeks to see where they go with that. So that's all your WWE talk. Been an interesting week in WWE. I feel like they progressed a lot on Raw and SmackDown, respectively, this week, heading into WrestleMania. I'm not going to go into great detail on AEW this week, but there was some stuff I do want to say. I think Dynamite, if you listen to the Revolution review, didn't really like that pay-per-view. I thought it was disappointing. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I thought it was disappointing. But I do really think they've recovered well since that. I think the last 3 Dynamites, is it 3? 3? Yeah, I think it's 3, maybe 2. But the last couple of Dynamites have been really, really good. It's three, in it. But they've been really, really good. We got that classic Britt Baker Thunder Rosa match the week before last. That was great. And we had MJF turning on Jericho, new groups. They progressed a lot of the stories. But this week, I just want to say I absolutely thought the Omega promo about the Young Bucks. A lot of people said it was goofy, but it's mad, really. CM Punk breaks kayfabe in a promo. Everyone loves it. Yeah. Kenny Omega does it, and it's like, oh, this is shit. But I love the Kenny Omega. I don't even really watch Being the Elite. Everyone's saying the only people who can enjoy the Kenny Omega character at the moment is the Being the Elite audience, but I don't really watch that show. And I think Omega's on absolute fire at the moment. Him and Callis are great. I thought the promo about the Young Bucks, I liked it. I liked that he was saying that he didn't actually choose AEW over New Japan and WWE. He chose the Young Bucks over New Japan and WWE. He left a place he was happy. He left all his friends back in Japan to come over here with the Young Bucks because they were best friends. And if they walk out on him, they're done. And they walked out, and then he gets beat down by Phoenix and Penta. So there's loads of stuff going forward that we can see with that. We're probably going to be getting somewhere down the line, we're going to be getting the Good Brothers and Omega versus the Young Bucks and Moxley, which will be great to see. So yeah, I'm really enjoying what they're doing with Omega at the moment. They've already set up Christian and Omega. Maybe we could see Omega Eddie Kingston. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do in the main event of the title defense at Double or Nothing. I'm not quite sure where they go. I wouldn't be against seeing Christian Omega there, but Christian needs some wins. He's facing Kazarian next week on Dynamite in his first match for AEW. So yeah, maybe he can win 3-4 matches. Double or Nothing's not for another 8 or 9 weeks, is it? I think it's 9 weeks. It's the very last Sunday in May, my 30th birthday, in fact. So yeah, they've got a lot of time to build up someone. So there's no need. They'll probably throw in one of these specials before that anyway. But Dynamite this week itself had pretty much the theme of the show, and a lot of good wrestling. Seidel against Omega was a really, really strong opener. We got the Bucks and Cutler against the Laredo Kid, Penta and Phoenix. That was, for me, was the match of the show. Really enjoyed that. We got Darby Allin versus John Silver in the main event. I wasn't as high on it as everyone else. I did think it was good. But yeah, it was a good match. I don't know. I do think people overrated it a bit. But yeah, John Silver, give him a Best of the Super Juniors run. I would love to see that. The guy is a great worker. They reckon that he picked up a shoulder injury in that. So hopefully he's all right. Other things on the show, Britt Baker, she cut a great heel promo. She's really, really ready to be a superstar. When fans come back, I think they're going to struggle to stop her getting cheered. She is going to be over like shit when fans come back. She goes on to say the 3 most important words in wrestling is DMD. Formerly was RKO, now DMD. But yeah, she shoots on Mick Foley. Really strong promo. She's definitely ready to be the star of that division. The women's division, I've always shat on it, but it's looking good, isn't it? You've got Britt Baker. You've got Thunder Rosa. You've got Ty Conti, who has improved vastly this year. I remember watching her on NXT. I'm not gonna lie, I think she's attractive, she's fit as fuck, but she always had that star quality look to her, didn't she? You could see her being a star. She was all right in the ring. It just needed to be seasoned, and that didn't happen in NXT. But she's come on leaps and bounds since first appearing with AEW last summer, and she really does have that superstar look. She can now work with it. I was thinking this. I think Ty Conti, Britt Baker's a feud you could go with. Babyface Ty. You could have babyface Ty with the Dark Order and maybe have Britt Baker with like the Pinnacle or something like that. Add Britt Baker to the Pinnacle. I think I saw someone suggest that on a podcast the other day. So yeah, that is some sort of route they could go down. There's so much for Britt Baker to do. I mean, I do want to see this Hikaru Shida Britt Baker match. I think the time is coming. Do you hold off for when fans are there? I mean, Britt's a heel, so you don't really need to wait for fans to come back for that pop. So just do it at Double or Nothing. Build Hikaru Shida against Britt Baker, get the title on Britt Baker, and let her have a lengthy run with that belt. I don't think they've booked the Hikaru Shida title reign too well. Maybe even have Hikaru Shida lose the title to Britt and then build towards Britt and Ty Conti. And then maybe I'd be up seeing Hikaru Shida turn heel on Thunder Rosa. We can have Thunder Rosa against Hikaru Shida going forward and Ty Conti chasing Britt Baker for that belt. going forward. So yeah, so some strong dynamites. As I say, I'm not going to go into great detail because it doesn't feel like it's the week to go on about that. Yeah, I know, Ryan, what you're saying. Omega's not been on. But yeah, I don't really watch it, so I don't really know. But a lot of people are saying that like the inside jokes that Omega keeps doing is more for that being the elite crowd. Whereas for me, I don't mind a bit of inside stuff. Do you know what I mean? People know it. People who don't know it. Going back to the WrestleMania talk, yeah, I do think I wouldn't mind him adding that match that he was on about, Nia and Shayna versus Dakota and Gonzalez. But the only problem with that is, like, Gonzalez, I'm assuming, is going to win the title, the NXT title, from Io Shirai at TakeOver. But whether or not, we'll see. I would be up for them doing that match. I prefer it to Lana and Naomi anyway. One final thing on AEW. Tony, get Andrade signed. Get him signed, and get Thea Trinidad signed as well. I mean, I think there was news going around that Thea has already committed. She's already committed. We don't know if it's wrestling, but she's already committed to another project coming off a run with WWE. Now, Ring of Honor did announce a summer tournament with women from all around the world, so maybe it's that. Who knows? But yeah, I'm going to have a quick drink before we get into the Ring of Honor 19th anniversary show review. Bit of Ribena. Needed that. Great audio. I'm sure you all enjoy that. No fizzy pop. Do you remember when we always used to have the segment on the show where I'd like reveal which fizzy pop I was drinking? Trying to knock back on the fizzy pop. So yeah, stuck with sugar-free cordial. Right. Ring of Honor 19th anniversary show. Now, I'm going to be totally honest, I haven't watched much Ring of Honor since I'd watched the big shows before the pandemic. I would watch their big shows. But watching Ring of Honor regularly stopped for me after that. The part in the Madison Square. I was there at MSG that night and pretty much stopped watching Ring of Honor like a lot of people did after that horrific showing from them at the MSG show. But thought, you know what? It's a completely different roster. Not doing anything else this weekend. I promised myself I would stop watching these wrestling shows that have no fans in. Like, I can't bring myself to watch an Impact pay-per-view, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to give it a chance. I'll watch Ring of Honor. I hear, like, good things about what they've been doing. It's a completely new roster, so I am going to give them a chance. And I'm going to be honest, I'm glad I did. I thought I'm going to get into each match by match. So I started watching it last night, and I watched 3 matches, and I fell asleep pretty much straight after it, if I'm honest. I was tired. Tracy Williams beat Kenny King. I went 2 1/4 on that. Flip Gordon was being a bit more heelish. He defeated Mark Briscoe, 3 stars. And Dalton Castle defeated Josh Woods. I went 3 stars on that. Woods impressed me a lot. I've not really seen much of him, but Josh Woods did look really impressive in that match. But yeah, so the only 45 minutes was all right. We got a great video package to open with, and it was just like someone opening the drawers, going and getting the old ROH DVDs and videos out from 2002, 2003, which I started watching Ring of Honor in 2004. So I think for all the nostalgic Ring of Honor fans that love the products back around like those glory years, will have appreciated that. So yeah, that was a nice start to the show. And then we got, basically I started watching this from this morning, EC3 versus Jay Briscoe. This was an interesting match. I thought EC3, like me, he shaved his head. I do think, unlike me, that actually really suits him. I think he looked great when he came out. He was even more ripped to shreds than he usually is, if that is even possible. I was watching him walk out, and I thought, I can't get my head around that Vince didn't. This is like a guy that you'd be like, Vince will fucking love him. But for whatever reason, he didn't. He had that match with Moxley, well, Ambrose, whatever, and it just went, I don't know, I don't think he got back on TV after that, did he? But he looked great in this match. I thought the match was good. I really enjoyed the match. It did go a little bit long. The story of the match is that Jay Briscoe won't acknowledge and shake EC3's hand. He won't adhere to the code of honor. The match itself, EC3 dominated the first half of this match. Jay makes his comeback, and it was like an extended beating of beatdown, sorry. And I was like, I can't really buy Jay Briscoe an extended beatdown of EC3. But at the end of the match, he beats on him for about 10 minutes, hits the Jay Driller for the 3 count. And at the end of the match, Jay Briscoe gets the win, and Jay Briscoe acknowledges EC3, shakes his hand. So I don't know if this was like they were trying to say it's an initiation for EC3 onto the roster or whatever, but I would have had EC3 go over. And Jay Briscoe doesn't need to be going over EC3 in a singles match on a big pay-per-view. But match itself, it was good. I did think it went a little bit long, and I went 3.25 on this. So worth going to check out. Then next, this match, it got me dreaming of the experiences I've had at WrestleMania weekend, where you're in them boiling hot independent shows. You've got loads of luchadors just going absolutely crazy. Spots flying everywhere. The beers are flowing. You're half smashed. You're just going mental with your mates, and this was it. Bandido versus Flamita versus Rey Horus. I mean, I was there at the WrestleCon Super Show when Bandido and Will Ospreay stole the show in an absolutely great match. That was a fucking brilliant match. And it brought back memories of this. Bandido, he's got himself in better conditioning. He looks like a superstar. The company, Ring of Honor, should be built around Bandido. Bandido, for me, I mean, I enjoyed the show, but I do think Bandido is bigger than Ring of Honor. Bandido should be in AEW, maybe New Japan, but AEW need to be looking into trying to get Bandido when his contract expires. The guy is 25 years old. 25 years old, and he's absolutely fantastic. The story of the match is the three are in a stable, but they've bickered, so they're just going out there to have a three-way. Some of the spots, I mean, I'm not going to go all. I forgot his name. I'm not going to go all. Oh, I forgot his name. Come on, Ryan, help me out. AEW commentator. How have I forgot? AEW. Oh my God, that is going to kill me. That's the Ribina's fault. That. But I'm not going to go all tope suicide and naming all the moves and everything. But come on, Ryan, have you got me? Have you got me here or not? Oh, you've not got me. Never mind. Right. Oh, flipping heck. So yeah, you took me off my game here. Took me off my game. So yeah, basically we get the cross body into a poison runner. Now this spot was absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love this spot. You need to go out and see it. And then Bandido just starts flying over the top rope, hitting moves that I've never even seen before. Definitely go and check the match out. In the end of it, they go about, I think it was about 11, 12 minutes. And the Bandido pins Flamita with a 21 and a bridge. It was a great spot. I was watching this freaking Jim Cornette, if he is watching this match. He's fucking having a fit. They're just busting out random spots, basically. But if you like that sort of thing, you're going to love it. I loved it. It was something different. The fact that some of the spots they were doing, I'm thinking, you're not even doing these spots to get a reaction from the crowd. So it made it even more impressive. Some of the bumps they were taking. But yeah, right person wins. Bandido gets the win. I think Bandido should be in the main event picture. But I think after the match, the commentators, Caprice, he basically says oh, that puts him in the junior. It might have even been Riccaboni says that he puts him into the TV title scene. For me, Bandido should be going for that Ring of Honor World Championship. But hey, after the match, basically Flamito shakes the hand of Horace, but he pushes Bandido away. So it looks like we're going into a Bandido versus Flamita program, which, yeah, I'm all for. But Bandido, 25 years old. WWE are looking for their new Hispanic star. Look no further. But with a handling of Andrade, what would they do with Bandido? You probably look at him and be like, you can go after the 24/7 title with Lindsay Dorado and Ricochet. But yeah, I went 3.75, 3.75 stars on this match. It was really good. Yeah, definitely the match out of everything that you need to go out and watch. Next, we got Matt Taven versus Vinny in there. It's not cinematic, is it? But it's taped in the training center. I'm done with these cinematic matches. They're not for me anymore. They've been done to death. AJ Styles versus Undertaker will always be the best one that's ever happened. The Stadium Stampede, if you can call it cinematic, was great. Everything else for me has just been, it's just been there on it. I did enjoy the Swamp fight, I'm going to be honest, but hey, I think I was in the minority in that. But they had a big spot to end where basically this big guy pushes them both off the balcony and picks up Vinny and carries him away. So yeah, crazy spot to end with. That was the only highlight here. And we got a backstage segment where Jay Lethal asked Todd Sinclair to not let him be screwed out of the title in the main event and be lenient. So that they needed to do this because that did actually play into the main event. Maria Kanellis is out. She's apparently on the board of directors in Ring of Honor. announces we're going to get a women's summit tournament in 2021. Angelina Love comes out with, I can't think who she was with, but she was with someone they just basically Excalibur. Yes, Ryan, Excalibur. That is it. How have I forgot? I always get his name mixed up and don't know how. I listen to the guy for 2 hours every Thursday afternoon, so I don't know how I forgot about that. Nice one for that, Ryan. But yeah, next we get Jonathan Gresham, who for me is the best worker in Ring of Honor. Daniel Bryan said in a recent interview he'd love to face Jonathan Gresham, and Gresham's fucking brilliant. He's fantastic. He's the pure champion. He faces Dak Draper. I'm going to be brutally honest, I've never seen anything of Dak Draper before. The one thing that I did notice, huge height difference. Gresham, just his usual self. They both use the three rope breaks, which is under pure title rules. You're only allowed 3, and then you can be pinned or submitted underneath the ropes, or you can't use the ropes to get out of a submission. And we get the finish comes when Jonathan Gresham does a dive over the top rope, a tope suicida, as Excalibur would say. And he does the tope and he catches Draper into a sleeper. Yeah, great spot. I think Caprice labeled it the tope suicida, which was fucking brilliant. So he chokes him outside the ring with his sleeper. He gets about 13-14, gets into the ring, sleepers his way for the win, and Jonathan Gresham wins by a knockout KO, pretty much. So yeah, I thought this was really good finish. I love the finish. Match itself, I've seen a lot of people going a lot higher than I did. I've seen some 4 stars, some 4.25 stars. I think Grapple, the average is just over 4. I'd throw 3.5 at it. Really good. And yeah, we'd had 3 really good matches back to back to back. So yeah, this was a strong show thus far. Then we basically got a match. I'm not sure why it was so high on the card. Tag Team Championship. I don't want to be disrespectful. We've fallen a long way pretty much since the Young Bucks and SCU were killing it for these Ring of Honor tag titles. The Young Bucks and the Hardys. We've got Rhett Titus and Tracy Williams against Kenny King and Bestia Del Ring. It was fine. I understand the building new guys up, but the match itself was fine pretty much. Bestia Del Ring doesn't look great in the ring, ironically enough, but Rhett Titus and Tracy Williams capture the belts. And after the match, this is where the controversy hits, or the lack of controversy. Basically, Bestia Del Ring spears Amy Rose, their manager. Spears her. And yeah, where are all these Will Ospreay? Last Sunday, I couldn't escape on Twitter. All the Snowflake squad were at it full force, crying about Will Ospreay hitting his Oz cutter on his girlfriend, B. Priestley. They were just doing that as an angle to bring. They was bringing heat onto the main event angle, going into a Bushi, yeah? And everyone cried about this. The usual Snowflake squad that you see, everyone's crying about it, yeah? Just, if Ospreay had gone up to B, punched her in the face, yeah, then I'd sort of understand it. But this is wrestling. We see intergender matches all the time. We see Randy Orton, RKO, and Beth Phoenix. And we just, like we say, we see this all the time. Ring of Honor, when all this shit was going on last week, yeah, would have seen everyone complaining about Ospreay. They'd already taped this show before the New Japan show last week. And they weren't asked enough to edit it out of the show. So I've seen I listen to podcasts, and it's a shame because I really do enjoy listening to some of these podcasts. But just listening to them whine and bitch about stuff like this, it's like, you all grew up on the Attitude Era. You've seen this every week. What is everyone complaining about? Yeah, it's 2021, you can't do this. I don't give a fuck what year it is. It was good back in 2000. It's good now. I enjoy a bit of it. It gives you a shock factor. Randy Orton, RKO, and Beth Phoenix was one of the best moments on Raw last year. It's not like they're going out and beating the fuck out of them, which would be a little bit, I won't be doing that. But the odd wrestling move here and there, I don't see a problem with it. Nobody complains when WWE have these matches where the women are beating on the men, do they? Nobody complains about that. That's fine. I thought 2021 was all about equality. Nobody complains about that, do they? Women hitting moves on men, that's fine. But as soon as, rarely does it actually happen, an Oz cutter's hit on a woman, everyone's crying. Snowflake squad running wild. I don't even want to talk about it anymore because it annoys me, really. Just do you know what I mean? Are we going to be able to have any angles in wrestling? I mean, Peacock are already editing the fuck out of everything on the WWE network. So, Anyway, I better not get into it because I'm probably in the minority here. I think I'm just, a lot of people on Twitter just aren't in the real world. They're just busy podcasting every day, reading wrestling stuff, listening to podcasts. In the real world, yeah, nobody gives a fuck about this sort of stuff. Stop listening to the news. Main event, Rush versus Jay Lethal. I always feel like I tune in and out of these Ring of Honor pay-per-views, but every time I put a Ring of Honor pay-per-view on, it always seems to be, yeah, exactly, Ryan. China versus anyone. Nobody complained about that. Nobody complained either, right? When Sasha Banks is beating the fuck out of Reginald week after week after week. Nobody cared then, did they? Nobody cared. That was fine. But don't get me back into it. But yeah, Rush versus Jay Lethal. And as I was saying, Lethal always seems to be in these main events, in these title matches for Ring of Honor. Now, he's a good worker, but I would like to see something maybe a little bit different in these main events. But with the angle at the end, maybe they are going towards that. But the match itself, I mean, Rush gets the cable cords out. The commentators say Sinclair is friends with Lethal. I've never heard them say, oh, the referee's friends with one of the guys in the main event, so he doesn't want to disqualify the other guy because he knows that Lethal can't win the title. Bit of a strange thing to bring up. But at least they did that segment before to explain why the ref hadn't been calling for DQ. We get a great knee and kick exchange. We've got both men down. Usually we'd have the crowd going crazy for it, but empty arena, so we don't. Sinclair doesn't call for the bell and Beastie Del Ring. Beastie Del Ring, the woman beater, apparently is back out. What about Edge? Edge used to spear Lita every week, or he'd spear women every week. He nails Lethal with a chair, and Sinclair doesn't call for the bell, which was a bit too much for me. We get Gresham and Cole making the save. This is where the match really hits into full gear. Great counter exchange. We get a lethal injection and temp into a drop kick. We get Rush kicking out of a lethal injection. But what I didn't like was, so Lethal hits the lethal injection on Rush. Both men are down after Rush kicks out the two. And Rush is up before Lethal. And I thought, you've just took his finisher. Why are you up before him? But hey, such is life. And then we get Rush. He hits his finisher. I love the name. Mess with the bull, you get the horn is the name of Rush's finisher. Lethal rolls out of the ring, but he hits. You mess with the bull, you get the horn for the second time, and Rush picks up the win. Really good main event. I'm not sure if I needed the fuckery in it, but that's part of his gimmick. But it does lead to what happens next. We've got Beastie Del Ring and all those guys in the ring about to beat up on Jay Lethal. We get Brody King out. Brody King, he's really good worker. He's out and he says, look, I've got numbers of my own now. He introduces Tony Deppen, who's really good, killing it in GCW. He introduces Homicide, Ring of Honor legend. And then he is with Chris Dickinson. So it looks like we're getting a new faction. Brody King, Tony Deppen, Homicide, and Chris Dickinson. They beat down, is it Ingo Bernablaze, I think they're called. So yeah, that's a good feud going forward. And yeah, but then as they beat off in Goblin Arblers, sorry, couldn't get that out. And they pick up Lethal, shake his hand, but Brody King clotheslines him, and Homicide hits the cop killer. Ian Riccoboni says they're not here to make friends. And yeah, this is a nice new faction. We've got a lot of good factions now in Ring of Honor. He hits the cop killer as the show goes off air. Really, the ending to the show, I think, was very clever because the Ring of Honor 19th anniversary show was going to be a show. People like myself that don't watch Ring of Honor every week or rarely, especially during this pandemic, so as I said, I don't want to watch shows with no crowds in anymore. I'm now interested. I now will tune into the next Ring of Honor TV because I thought the stories in a lot of these matches were really strong. So yeah, really, really enjoyed this pay-per-view. I'd give the show 6.5 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. Brightened up my day today. I've watched two good shows. I've watched the Ring of Honor 19th anniversary. I watched that great UFC show from last night. But yeah, definitely go and check out this Ring of Honor show. And I'm going to attempt. I mean, in my head, there's not much wrestling going on. I've got a Dragon Gate show that I'm going to be watching this afternoon. I'm going to be thinking, how am I going to realistically watch all this stuff? So in my head, I'm thinking, right, I just need to concentrate on WWE, AEW, and New Japan. Do you think this Ring of Honor will be like a sleeper promotion of the year? I mean, you've got Rush, Jay Lethal, Brody King, Tony Deppen, Homicide, Chris Dickinson, Tracy Williams, EC3, Bandido, Flamita, Ray Horus. Probably missing people out, but that's the Briscoes. That's a Flip Gordon. It's a really Josh Woods impressed me. It's a really strong roster, really strong. I think they've got a good chance. So yeah, go and check out the Ring of Honor 19th anniversary show. A really strong show. And yeah, hashtag watch ROH, because this was some good shit, this pay-per-view. Really strong show from Ring of Honor. Especially, I can't wait till after every show that I say is good, I don't have to finish it with, especially seeing in there's no crowd. Hopefully we're going to be done with all that soon. But yeah, go and check out the Ring of Honor 19th anniversary show. Couldn't recommend it more. And yeah, that's the show. That's pretty much, I don't think I have anything else that I want to speak about. Thanks for the contribution from Ryan. Thanks to everyone else who's checked out the show. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Follow us on Twitter at WWE versus AEW. The war is over, pretty much. Well, it's not, but the Wednesday Night Wars are pretty much coming to an end. I'm going to change that name on Twitter. I need to get around to doing it. I'll probably just change it to Daniel Ball Wrestling. Support the channel, retweet the tweets, retweet the podcast. If you can give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, that'd be great. We have had a few 5-star reviews recently. I really appreciate it if you could do that. We're on Spotify. We are on Google Podcasts. Doing a bit of rebranding after WrestleMania, so make sure you stay tuned for that. I think we're on 1,120 subscribers on YouTube. So yeah, still trying to grow the YouTube. I mean, as I say, the Apple Podcast numbers, I'm really happy with. I think we probably had the Fastlane review show is the most downloads I've had after the first 16 hours. I checked my phone to see how many downloads we'd had when I woke up Tuesday morning. I was like, have I said something stupid on this show and now I'm getting shit for it or what? But apparently not. But yeah, thanks for everyone for supporting. And yeah, just continuing to grow. As I say, I'm recording episodes in the bank because I am going to try and have a wild summer this summer. But yeah, I'm still trying to do the weekly show. Me and Tebs will be back this weekend to do a full preview of WrestleMania 37. So yeah, me and Tebs, we did the preview show for the Royal Rumble. We're going to talk about how all our predictions were wrong, and this is the card WWE gave us. Yeah, although I went in depth on this show, the WrestleMania show at the start of this show, we will be doing a full preview. We'll get mine and Tebs' thoughts on that. So yeah, make sure you look for that. Probably be Friday, Saturday, as I've got my little girl on Friday, and North End are playing Norwich. So yeah, might be Saturday. But yeah, check that. I'll stay tuned to the Twitter. I'll keep you updated. Thanks everyone for listening, and I will see you on the weekend for the WrestleMania 37 preview show. Thanks for listening.